Now over time, our fun, lovable builds begin to make some noises that are a little bit unpleasant. Now some people might say it adds to the vehicle's charm or its character, but to be honest, I think it sounds like So today I have some light maintenance work to do on the Silver Bullet here behind me. And speaking of the Silver Bullet, some of you might be very pleased to hear that I've decided to keep the second gen Tacoma and not sell it like I had talked about a video or two ago. And possibly maybe even rework some of the suspension in the rear and make it a little bit better. But that's for a later video if we decide to go down that path. But before we hop in this video real quick, I want to say thank you to all my subscribers, because about a week ago we passed 400 subscribers, which means we are less than 100 subscribers away from announcing the winner of the giveaway. So the giveaway is going to be a Chemical Guys car wash bundle that I threw together myself with some of my favorite products. You got brushes, sponges, soaps, all-purpose cleaners, all kinds of stuff in there. If you guys want to know exactly what's in it and you want to get entered, head over to my Instagram and check out this post right here. It gives you all 4 rules to enter, super simple, and there's also a video explaining everything that's in this bundle. So go check that out, guys. Now the 2 main noise makers on this truck right now that should not be making noise are the front suspension, which is squeaking a lot. I'm not sure if it's just because it's summertime and it's super hot out here, like 90 to 100 degrees every day, because I do notice that every summer it starts to make the squeaking noise and then it calms down the rest of the year. But we're going to try to lubricate all the joints and everything and see if that fixes the problem. And the second noise is the exhaust is rattling. And I'll talk about that a little bit more once we get to it, but I think we're going to start with the front suspension since it seems like an easier fix. So in the front, what I think can be making the noise is the upper control arm, either the uniball or the Heim joints. And I also talked to my buddy Chad, who had the long travel second gen Tacoma, and he said also try to lube down where the shock meets the lower control arm, because that could be making some noise as well. So we'll lube all those points up, and if that's not it, then we'll have to explore other options or possibilities as to why it's squeaking. So with the Camberg box kinetic upper control arms, they recommend using Tri-Flow, which I have purchased about maybe a year ago, and I just keep it here in my center console. So I keep it in my center console because, you know, this, like I said, has been squeaking a lot lately. So if it's ever too much, or if I'm going somewhere and I don't want it to be squeaking because it's really embarrassing and loud, I just keep this on hand so I can just apply some of it right then and there and fix it for the time being. Before we do this, why don't I take us on a drive so you guys can also hear the noise, and maybe if it doesn't get fixed today, you guys can throw out some other suggestions as to what it might be or what I missed. So I switched to hands-free. I got the GoPro running right now, and starting on these upper control arms, like I said, I keep this on deck because I use it if it gets too aggressive. But the problem being is I'll put this on and it seems like maybe a day or two later it's squeaking again. So I'm usually lubricating this ball joint and sometimes the Heims, but I'm just going to try to clean everything right now, lubricate it all, and see if that lasts. If it doesn't, then explore other options. But right now I'm just taking the cap off of these kinetic upper control arms, and it usually comes with these Allen key head screws, but those stripped out super easy. Maybe 2 or 3 times I've taken them off. So I switched over to Phillips head screwdriver screws. These are the specs for them if you're ever working with this cap or these upper control arms. And it's more likely that you'll have a Phillips head screwdriver on you than that small of an Allen key. So the top of it was already pretty clean from the last time I cleaned it, and the bottom's pretty dirty just because it's exposed. It's got no cap covering it. Okay, so all that looks clean now. Let's try to just lubricate it a bit. They say put like 3 drops on, but I kind of go a little excessive with it, at least on the ball joint, because how's 3 drops supposed to cover it all unless you're like rubbing it in, which maybe they want you to do, but I kind of just try to do like just like a little glaze all the way around so everybody gets some love.
Oh my.
Got this big old mark on my forehead from the GoPro now, but now that we have everything lubed up, I'm gonna let it settle for a little bit. I'll throw the caps back on, button it up, and then we'll move on to the exhaust rattle. And I'm really hoping it makes the rattle, because I feel like it's just gonna be like one of those things, you know, like when your vehicle's making this weird noise and then you take it to the dealership for them to kind of diagnose it and it's not making the noise as soon as you get there. I feel like it's gonna be one of those things, but we're gonna move on to the exhaust next. So let me finish up here and then we'll catch up. I feel like I gotta give a little backstory on this exhaust because this rattle might be my fault. Now, when we all first start driving or we get our first vehicle or something, we all do some questionable things to them. So my questionable thing was I kept unbolting my exhaust a lot. Like I would unbolt it, rebolt it, unbolt it, rebolt it a lot when I first got this vehicle. And I unbolted it pretty much right where like the cat piping ends and the muffler piping begins. This obviously isn't the stock setup. The muffler's usually right about there, but right here is where I kept unbolting. Just these two. There's one right here and one on the back side of it, right under the passenger seat. Now, the reason why I think this might be my fault is because this one, on one of the times of rebolting it, I think it cross-threaded and then stripped, so the bolt kept backing itself out and I'd get exhaust leak and all kinds of bad stuff. And now that I look at it, judging from all of this black soot right here, that's probably the case again. When I had this Black Widow exhaust put on and had it dumped and everything, I had them put like a locking nut on the backside, and that worked for, I've had this exhaust probably 3 years now, maybe 4 years, but now it might not be working so much anymore. So I'm gonna turn it on, try to pinpoint the rattle, which I'm sure is either coming from here, or I saw a video where somebody says the heat shield comes loose. So let's turn it on, see if we could pinpoint the rattle. If it's not making it, we'll try moving some stuff around ourselves and see if we could figure this out. The exhaust usually has to be pretty warm, like after driving it around, for it to start making the rattle noise. Sometimes while idling, it'll do it, like it'll just like rattle for a few seconds and stop, and rattle for a few seconds and stop. But it's usually once I'm going from a dead stop to start rolling, those first few RPMs of pushing the gas is when it'll rattle, and then it'll stop after the first few RPMs. Okay, see, right now it's not rattling, but I am hearing like a sputtering noise, and I put my ear up to it and I can feel exhaust leak coming out. So this definitely is not holding anymore, but I don't know if that's what the rattle's coming from. As predicted, it's not making the rattling noise. Like I said, it's usually got to be heated up to do that, but I don't want to get the exhaust too hot to where I can't even work on it for the day while it's still light out. So we're just going to try to fix that leaking right now, see if we can tighten that nut, see if it holds. I'll probably try to tighten it right now, try to move some things around, see if the heat shield rattles, and then go for a drive because I need gas, and see if the exhaust is still leaking when I get back or if the rattling persists. Okay, they weren't super loose, but they were still kind of loose. So we just tighten them as much as we can there. We'll wipe off all that exhaust soot and then see if it starts to rebuild again. We could also turn it back on right now and see if we can hear that exhaust leak, but something I've been thinking about is if this rattling does persist and it is a problem with this threading being stripped and cross-threaded and everything, then it might just be time to do a whole new exhaust system altogether. Maybe just do headers. I don't know what to do with the cats or anything, but I'd still want it to be legal because it just makes my life a whole lot easier. So I'll do everything probably still legal, but just do a whole different setup. Cause why not? You know, what's my other option? Cut right here and weld a new plate on? I don't really know, but we'll see if we even have to cross that bridge, and hopefully we don't have to. Before we turn it on to check for the leak, let's just rattle around this heat shield. I'm trying to look around this exhaust with the GoPro on my face. That doesn't sound like what the rattle is. The rattle sounds more like maybe like a broken piece of metal just bouncing around inside the exhaust. So that heat shield doesn't sound like the problem. These hangers wouldn't make any sort of metal sound like that. Those are still hot. So yeah, maybe we'll just turn it on, check for this leak, and see if anything else is making noises. Yeah, there's still a leak coming out of there, but see, what I think the problem might be is when they put it back on, they never put this piece back in. So unless they had a spare one on hand, they never put mine back in, and I don't know why it's flaking off like this. That's weird, but maybe that's why there's that slight leak, because this isn't there to seal it up. So I don't know if I want to try to pull this off and mess up the threading again just to put this back in, but my main concern wasn't the leak, it was the rattle. So I'm gonna go drive around, I'm gonna go get gas, then I will come back and report back if there was any rattling or any squeaking from the suspension. Okay, so I'm back from getting gas. All the squeaking has worked itself out for now, so the lubrication helped. I'll see how many days that holds, see if I need to reapply in a few days like usual, but that's not the problem. Right now I can kind of duplicate the rattling noise. It's not doing it while idling. I'm like sitting here with my foot on the brake in drive, hitting the gas. So let's see if you guys can hear this. I'm almost certain you guys can hear that. But the problem is, since it's not doing it while idling and I have to be in drive with my foot on the brake and the gas at the same time, I can't get under the truck to diagnose or try to pinpoint where the sound's coming from. So I'm either gonna have to wait till it's doing it while idling or wait till I have some help here. Somebody to either climb under the truck or make the noise for me. So I guess that's gonna be a project for another day. Just some maintenance, housekeeping things I had to get done today on the truck, just because, like I've said before, things just start piling up, and you can't just let that happen, because then your truck will turn into a POS. So luckily the suspension is not squeaking anymore. That's a plus. The rattling still needs to get figured out, and I think I've decided I am going to unbolt all of it and put that little like ring, or I don't know what you want to call it, I don't know what it's called, but that metal ring, the spacer between the two, where the two flanges meet. And if the two flanges don't go back together with the lock nut like they've been for the past few years, then we're gonna have to explore other options, either finding a new means of locking it back together or getting a whole new exhaust system. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm just gonna get that piece in so I don't have the exhaust leak anymore. And I guess that's it for today. It's a real quick video, real simple video, but I'm glad to be back on the camera with you guys. I know I missed a video because I was on vacation, but we're back to our scheduled programming of videos every other week, twice a month. And obviously we have so many more videos to come, guys. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Less than 100 away from the giveaway and 500 subscribers. So thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.